In my opinion, Gina's defense here wants you to believe she has absolutely no common sense and is really hoping the judge doesn't have any either. Let's get into this. It's wild. So I'm going to try to go through it as fast as possible because there's a little bit here that's not needed. So Gina, if you don't know, she's already violated her pretrial probation and had an additional add-on. Is prohibited from accessing social media for any purpose. Very clear. And her mother died, and then she went to Tennessee. That was approved. After her return from Tennessee, sometime during the week of January 15, 2024, Gina was contacted by her friend SF. And this is where you need to just have a complete suspension of belief, of common sense and everything. So to begin with, let's go to the note. Counsel is redacting this witness's name and requests the court seal the February 8, 2024 hearing. So they want the hearing sealed. Since the government filed the January 28, 2024 motion, Gina has received a series of threats over the phone from anonymous callers. Which, if true, is not okay, but that's a big if with Gina, because I don't trust anything she says. Witness SF similarly fears public retribution for having any involvement with this matter. Therefore, for her safety, counsel respectfully requests that SF's identity be kept confidential. Now, if the prosecution decides to say that they shouldn't be kept confidential, part of the reason might be that there is a link in the January 28, 2024 that goes to a video of a Twitter space that Gina was on, and we'll get to more of that. But that video, used as evidence, has a copyright claim from someone with the name SF. And I get the feeling it's probably the same SF. Just a hunch. So I wouldn't be shocked if they don't say basically it's already public, because it kind of is. Anyway. Declaration of SF. SF contacted Gina socially and learned that Gina about her mother's death, some financial issue that Gina was incurring when to her mother's death. SF suggested that Gina seek financial assistance from American Patriot Relief, with whom SF volunteers her time. APR is a non-profit organization that raises money to support people and families of those persecuted for their religious or political beliefs, particularly focus on those prosecuted for their roles in the January 6th demonstrations. Maybe I've missed it. The only time I've ever heard American Patriot Relief mentioned was involving J6ers, but maybe they do more, and I don't know. So, we'll just keep going. Additionally, SF informed Gina she had a good friend who lived in Tennessee in close proximity where Gina's mother is located. SF wondered whether her friend might be of assistance in getting Gina's mother's house rented. On January 20th, 2024, Gina called SF to discuss applying for financial assistance from APR. Also the possibility that SF's friend could be of assistance in renting the Tennessee house. SF answered the call and informed Gina that she was currently hosting a, quote, fundraiser. Gina understood SF to mean she was engaged in an activity for APR and that Gina would have the opportunity to address the APR board. As such, Gina asked to speak to the larger group. At no time did SF inform Gina that she was hosting a Twitter space, and Gina was not aware she was speaking on a Twitter space. So the defense to the Twitter space is she did not know she was on a Twitter space. Now, I don't have access at the moment to that call to double check this because it has a copyright claim from someone with the name SF. On Monday, January 2022, Gina, still thinking she had addressed APR's board, sent APR an email thanking them for their time and any help assistance they can provide. And she was denied. So she didn't even get help with that violation because she's not supposed to be on Twitter. At all relevant times, Gina has identified as a devout Christian. And yes, they're going to use this Christian defense for other stuff too. She attends religious services on Sunday, has been a member of her church. She also calls into the Prisoner's Record, which is a prayer group hosted by Pastor Huang Quan. Prisoner's Record is a Christian group that welcomes anyone who wishes to participate but has a particular focus on those persecuted by the government. As such, is widely joined by people of all ends of the political spectrum. I press X to doubt. I went to the Prisoner's Record. I am very aware of what they are. I've been to it plenty of times, and it's just J6 stuff every time I'm there. Just J6, J6, J6. I went back as far as I can in the Prisoner's Record back to 2021, and the original posts that I see are January 6th. I don't know what other groups and people they are saying are being persecuted by the government, but it appears to have a heavy, near exclusive focus on January 6th if you look into it. That is my opinion of going through the prisoner's record. I have been through that multiple times. It is not new to me, and I don't remember seeing any other instance that wasn't J6 related. But yeah, I guess you're not supposed to use your eyes, and Gina wasn't supposed to know that it was mostly J6 related, even though they're let's just continue. It makes no sense to me. The group has a large following, and Pastor Kwan views this group as a virtual megachurch. By the way, Telegram is social media. And they have a full discussion board that's social media in the prisoner's record that's public, and you can view it yourself. So she's not allowed on social media, but she was in the prisoner's record. Pastor Kwan hosts the prisoner's record on Telegram, which is an instant messaging service that allows people to exchange messages and hold private group and video calls. It is basically, if you have it open for comments, it's social media. They're going to call it instant messaging. I would call it social media. It has a feed of information like you get on a Twitter or a Facebook page. People can comment. There's even a full discussion area. To me, it is fully social media just as much as Twitter. On January 20, 2024, Gina called into the prisoner's record to join the nightly prayer call. So she called into, willingly, social media. In my opinion, it's social media. They're saying messaging app. But again, at this point, someone claiming to be a J6 defendant apparently joined the call. Gina has no control of who might join these prayer calls and no advance notice of who might be on the call. Well, my opinion, the advance notice would be that it's mostly a pro J6 platform. But the argument, okay. So, is the government's burden to establish by clear and convincing evidence that Gina has violated her conditions of release? The government argues that Gina has violated her terms in 4 ways. Use of Twitter. Let's recap real quick the wording they used at the top here. Is prohibited from accessing social media from any purpose. So to me, that sounds like a one. There you go. They have more claims, by the way, with her touching Twitter. She did things on Twitter that you can only do if you're using Twitter. Gina's participation in a Twitter space, Gina's participation in the prisoner's record, and Gina's use of TikTok. The facts, however, establish that Gina has not violated this court order. Oh, really? The government complains that Gina maintains an active Twitter account, yet given the government's representations, active is a misnomer. Really? Despite its lengthy detailing of Gina's alleged Twitter usage, the government does not provide a single post or tweet that Gina made since the court issued its May 4th ruling. Indeed, the only Twitter activity the government cites post dating were 2 likes, allegedly from Gina. A Twitter user reads a post made by another can like that post, as the government is not accusing Ms. Gina of posting anything to Twitter, but simply liking 2 posts other people have made. Okay. So, Gina has not intentionally used the Twitter application since May 4th, and has no recollection of liking it. So, they do this whole thing about, well, she's not actually active. She just liked a post, but she doesn't remember liking the post. However, people regularly text Gina news articles. It's possible that someone texts her an article. She clicked on it without realizing it was a Twitter post. I'll continue to make her best effort to be careful accessing materials that are sent to her. Have you ever gotten a link that you didn't know was Twitter, and you clicked it, and then you proceeded to like it? I don't know if I've ever had that instance. Let me actually load up Gina real quick on a second page. Gina J. She put J6 in her name. Did I have it real quick? Gina J6 Twitter. No, that's porn. Jump cut. Now I have her Twitter page up in another window. I'm not going to show it because there's a bunch of random stuff mixed in, but this is the Twitter page the government is using against her. It's cited in the previous documents. And they say here that she has not intentionally accessed Twitter, and that maybe she liked a post she was sent, and she'll just be more careful about where the articles are from. It was an accident. The issue with that argument is she got this on May 4th, 2023. Now, your likes are done in order on Twitter, whether she knows that or not. It's an order. So she liked something May 3rd, 2023, and the next like is someone adding her name on Twitter July 5th, 2023. So, because of that, we can now assume that everything after this she liked. Okay, so what'd she like? Is it just 2 articles? A meme a Trump image, a January 6th video, a post by a J6 defendant, a post about a J6 lawyer, another post she liked about, so she's liking people responding to Schumer, another post, a Trump meme. Here she is, Scott Pressler liking one of his posts. And this is like over months. Another post. So none of these are articles that I'm seeing. The only article I'm seeing is the one about the J6 attorney. And it's not an article, it's a link to Rumble. Which, depending on your argument of social media, Rumble is like YouTube. And people argue that YouTube is social media. Okay, so I don't really get that one. Just, suspend your belief, though. So here we have, as detailed above, Gina did not intentionally take part in a Twitter space. I believe she was communicating with APR's board members, attempting to secure some financial assistance, locate a renter for her mother's house. If necessary, SF will testify. Consistent with her declaration that Gina had no way of knowing that SF was hosting a Twitter space. I really wish I had that recording that got copyright struck by someone with the name SF. But I get the feeling the prosecution has a copy. So if there's any proof that it was a Twitter space after Gina joined, and she would obviously know from what was said, I'm sure they'll bring it up. And this is Gina's participation in the prisoner's record does not violate her conditions of release. Gina's release conditions do not prevent her from attending religious services or using the phone or sending text messages. Telegram is social media. Gina is accused of using the Telegram application, which is akin to using a telephone or sending text messages to access a religious service. Really? Really? That's the defense. Don't look at what Telegram is. Are they hoping people think Telegram is like telephone? Like, the prosecution just has to show Telegram, in my opinion. Like, ignore your eyes, though. Gina did not know in advance that other J6 defendants would be taking part in the prayer call. That's possible, but you're also on social media on a big pro-J6 board, so... If necessary, Pastor Kwan will testify, consistent with his declaration. It is not a group focused on January 6th, but rather a more general prayer group that has attracted some January 6th defendants. I would love to know what he would consider it to look like if it was focused on January 6th, because scroll through it. It's a public Telegram. You can go through the public Telegram. You can go through the discussion. It's all public. It's a social media platform. You can go see for yourself. It's basically all January 6th. So if it's not focused on January 6th, it sure has a focus on January 6th from when you look at it. Maybe there's supposed to be some, I don't know. There's not like a possibility to have like a side discussion board or anything like that. The name is even the prisoner's record. The government admits that Gina's alleged use of TikTok all predates the court order. As the government motion reflects that since May 4th, I'm trying to remember here what it is with the TikTok. I think it's mostly that Gina was supposed to, I might be wrong on this, but I think Gina was supposed to give out all the social media she was using, and before the order she was using TikTok, but they didn't know that at the time. So they're mentioning it, but I don't think they accused her of using it since May 4th. And then they're wanting them to deny the motion. But yeah, so the defense boils down to she didn't knowingly use Twitter, although there's a bunch of likes for Twitter posts, a bunch of them. It's not just 2 on an article. I'm wondering if her lawyer even looked at her Twitter account. I really am now. She didn't know she was in a Twitter space somehow, which is weird because if we go to the first point that she's active on Twitter, then she should have known that these things were, being put out there. And she says SF was her friend. Did she meet SF through Twitter? Again, it's kind of a hint. The prisoner's record, they're trying to claim that that's not J6 focused and is like a phone call, which is not the case. It's not a phone call. It's Telegram. It's like Twitter. It's social media. And Telegram isn't even new to J6 cases. It gets used against J6ers all the time. And of course, they're trying to say, the TikTok stuff was pre-May 4th. I think that's more like... it's been a while since I've read it, since the 28th. I think that was supposed to be more like showing she is not being truthful in the past, but yeah, I guess we're gonna see if they seal this or whatever. Don't really get the point, but I don't think it's looking good for Gina. But again, she's a white woman, and she's gotten away with a lot already, so maybe she'll get away with this too.